Hi everyone, in this video I want to show a game between Maxim Matlakov and Anish Giri. The game was played in Tata Steel Chess Tournament 2018 round 9. Let's see the game. White starts with knight to f3, a flexible move, not placing any pawns in the center, developing the knight towards the center, controlling e5 and d4 squares. d5. This pawn move allows the bishop and the queen to enter the game. As we know, pawn moves in an opening are good only if they help our pieces to develop. g3, intending to put the bishop on the long diagonal. Bishop to g4, developing the bishop on the most forward square in white territory, and this is the King's Indian attack, Keres Variation. Bishop to g3 and c6, protecting d5 and creates a pawn chain in front of white bishop. This is one of the way to neutralize a bishop. Short castle, white king is safe, knight to d7, another developing move, h3, attacking the bishop, and the bishop goes back to h5, d4, placing a pawn in the center, allowing the darker bishop to develop, e6, a valid pawn move, allowing the darker bishop to enter the game, c4, attacking the center, bishop to e7, and knight to c3, developing the knight towards the center, d takes on c4, b3, giving another pawn for black to take and allowing the darker bishop to develop. Giri mentioned in the interview after the game that he was surprised by this move and he was not prepared for this line. In the game, he took on b3, c takes on b3, queen takes on b3, developing the queen, attacking b7 pawn, and black played queen to b6, protecting and proposing a queen trade. White doesn't want to trade, knight g to f6, developing another piece, preparing short castle, rook to b1, attacking the queen, and queen to c7, bishop to f4, developing the bishop, gaining another tempo on the queen. With this move, white finishes opening. King is safe, rooks are connected, and all other minor pieces are developed. Queen to c8. In the middle game, white needs to start an attack. The easiest target to attack are weak pawns and weak squares. In this position, black has a backward pawn on b7, and white should attack this pawn one more time with queen to b3. In the game, white brought his last piece into the game, and he played rook f to c1. Black continued with short castle, putting the king to safety, queen to b3, attacking b7, bishop to g6, attacking the rook to b2, and rook to d8, placing the rook on a semi-open file. And white cannot take on b7 due to bishop to a3, attacking both rooks. a4, this pawn wants to create some weaknesses on black queen side, and black stops this with a5. But d6 square is weak now. There are no pawns to protect this square. Knight to d2, opening the light square bishop, and the knight can look to jump to c4, looking at d6 square or b6. From d6, he's attacking for a third time b7 pawn. Knight to h5, attacking the bishop that controls d6, and bishop to e3. The bishop goes back, black pulls the knight back on f6. Knight to c4, improving the knight position, putting pressure on d6 square. The other knight can go to e4, attacking one more time d6. Knight to d5, placing the knight into the center, attacking the bishop, trying to inflict double pawns for white. In the game, white took the pawn from b7. Queen takes, bishop to b4, attacking the knight one more time, cutting the communication between the queen and the rook. Queen takes on c8, queens are exchanged, rook a takes on c8, knight to a2, attacking the bishop one more time, knight takes on c3, black takes the bishop, inflicting double pawns. Both players have many weaknesses. White has two double pawns on the e file, one isolated pawn on the a file. Black has two isolated pawns on c5, attacking d4. If white takes, it will help black to go forward with the knight, attacking a4. Knight to d6, attacking the rook, and the drawback of this move is that the knight is no longer controlling a3 square, and black attacked the rook with bishop to a3. Knight takes on c8, bishop takes on b2. For the moment is equality, both players took a rook. Knight to e7 check, king to f8, attacking the knight, and knight takes on g6 check, h takes on g6, rook to c2, attacking the bishop, and bishop to a3. bishop to c6, attacking the knight, and also looking to protect the pawn from a4 with bishop to b5. C takes on b4. Black took, getting rid of his weak pawn, releasing the tension between the pawns, and white gets rid of his double pawns. He takes on d4. Rook to c8, pinning the bishop, e3, defending the d4 pawn. Now the e3 is a backward pawn that can be attacked in the future. King to e7, bringing the king closer to the center. In an endgame, the king is a valuable piece that can help in the attack of opponent's weak pawns and help his own pawns to promote. In this position, black has no best pawns, but black can attack white weak pawns, which are h3, g3, e3 and a4. King to f1, trying to bring the king into the game. Bishop to d6, attacking g3 pawn, g4. The pawn is pushed, but we have a backward pawn on h3 that can be attacked in the future. Knight to b6, putting pressure on the pawn from a4. For the moment, this pawn is protected by the bishop. Rook to c1. The drawback of this move is that black can go forward with his bishop attacking the rook. Better for white was to continue activating his king, bringing it closer to the center. Rook to c3, attacking the bishop, and bishop to b4, gaining a tempo on the rook, and white took the bishop with the knight. The problem with this move is that black takes with the pawn and gets a pass pawn on the b file, and the rook has to keep an eye on the bishop. Also, white has a pass pawn on the b file, so white rook is attacked. Rook to c5, the rook is defended, and the rook defends the bishop, but black can push his pass pawn, and white can stop it, but he has to give the bishop. a5, white pushes his pass pawn, attacking the knight, and the knight goes back to d7, attacking the rook. In this position, white resigns, because he is losing the bishop, or black will get the new queen. Let's see some possible variations. The first one is when he's giving the bishop with rook to b5. Black takes the bishop and rook takes on b3. Rook to c1 check, king to e2 and rook to a1. The rook is behind the pass pawn. Black can attack it one more time and win it. Second option for white is to push his pass pawn. So we have a6. The drawback of this move is that black can take the rook. And we have knight takes on c5. And after a7, black pushes b2. Black rook controls a8 square. White gets a queen. Rook takes, bishop takes. Black has another queen and he's winning. Another try for white is to attack the pawn from b3 with rook to c3. Black has two options: to push the pawn or take the bishop. Let's see them both. First, rook takes on c6. Rook takes and b2. White cannot prevent the pawn to queen. The knight is controlling b6 square. The other move is to push directly b2. In order to stop the pawn, white has to go behind the pawn and lose the bishop. So after rook to b3, rook takes on b2, and the same thing. Rook to c1 check, king to e2, and rook to a2. The rook will take the pawn. After this game, Giri is the sole leader of the tournament with 6.5 points out of 9. I hope that you learned something from this game. Please watch other games from my channel, and if you like this video clip, click the like button and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.